Hi y'all, I'm about to build a wooden box for steam bending solid wood. And that's what this video is about. I started off with a quick SketchUp file. Took about 10 minutes or so, and pretty good tool to have. If you want to bend wood with steam, you have to have it wet all the way through and heated all the way through. So we set up and we soak our pieces. Panel saw work. The way the panel saw works best for cutting out pieces for cabinets or cabinet-like projects is to cut all your narrow dimensions first. Make your lengths of material because there's a lot less back and forth setting up. So you can see what I'm doing is I'm getting one dimension of all the pieces, the narrow one, first. And now that that's done, we'll start using the sliding part of the saw to cut really clean 90-degree ends, cutting it to length and restacking them on the sliding table part. And so we're going to a different method here of using the sliding table to control the angle, but the rip fence to control the length. We call it bump and cut. Okay, I got the parts. First thing we do is pin it together. That's just to hold things in place. The pins don't have much strength. You need to either add screws or glue. Next, we screw it together. And this is a really good kind of bit to have. See how the screw has a countersink, a taper on it? This matches it. All one step, you drill it and put it in. We have to actually get the steam inside the steamer for the steam bending. This is what I have. I think it's going to be enough. If it's not, I'll have to pump and get a more robust steamer to feed into it. I think it's going to be fine. We're going to be using this as a test. So to get the steam inside there, I just marked it and drilled it while it's propped up at a height that I want it to end up at, and then shaped it with a die grinder. Do the shape of this a little bit better so it can go in fully, and you just slide it forward. So these props are going to become the legs, and they'll be strapped on right here, and then I'm done. The box is made with marine plywood. It's the right material to use if you're making a wooden steamer box. It's not going to delaminate, that's why. The ordinary plywood will delaminate very quickly. Even exterior ply will delaminate quickly. You don't have to worry about it rotting from the moisture as you let it dry out. We'll leave the lid off and let it dry out. Because wood rots when it's damp for a long time. It can get wet and dry out, get wet and dry out, but when it doesn't have a chance to dry out, like between two boards laid down outside, that's when rot starts to happen. So we don't need to worry about that, and this is a really good material. This will have a good life. And as soon as I put the ends on it, we're ready for the test. I had an oversight. Failure at rocket science. Turns out this is the kind of kettle that turns itself off as soon as it starts to boil. That's when the steam begins. This is almost impossible to adapt. But I got lucky. Dan the man, the office man, who's now working at home, has this. This is made for the purpose. He told me about it and where it was, and I'm ready to do the test. These are two pieces I made to be my test samples, and those are the ones that were set to soak at the very beginning of this. I'm setting them up on blocks so the steam will circulate around them, and then blocks on the one I just put in, and it's ready to close up and start steaming. Right, it has been long enough for a test. You need good gloves. These aren't the right kind, but they'll have to do. And remember, this steam. That's steam, and steam is very hot. May not come off that easily. Swelled up a little bit. So, I'm going to remove the lid. Reach in there and take the top one out. Now to bend it, you want to support the middle while you're bending it, or it can just crack the opening. You see, it cracked. That was not good control during the bend. It's got enough flexibility, but I tried it too far, I think. I only need to get some, and when you actually do the bend, you put a strap around it so it doesn't get a peak in the middle. And then this is going to be re-laminated. This is a combination methodology where I'm steam bending thicker pieces. Then I would have to use very thin pieces if I were to attempt to steam bend or just to laminate it without softening it and pre-bending it. So I'm doing a combination here. The two will get laminated together. This is enough to convince me that I can get the bend I need, but I need a better setup for actually executing the bend. But there is enough flexibility built into it, and it might want to steam for a bit longer, and maybe soak for longer. The material needs to be kept, it needs to be fully saturated so that it's got moisture all the way through it, and it also needs to be heated all the way to the center, which means you need some pretty serious steaming if you're doing a thick one. So that's why we soaked it. And this convinces me I've got what I need. Just going to have to do a little more control over actually making the bend when I do the project that I built this for.